Yes. Give it up for Ryan M. with the podcast jingle. I haven't played his in a while. I realized I hadn't played, a lot of people would send me jingles and I hadn't played them in a while. So I went back and tried to find on my old hard drive all the jingles and intros I could possibly find. Going to try to switch it up the next couple podcasts. The only one I couldn't find is the fucking original one that I made myself. I couldn't find that. So probably from now on, I'll just be playing podcast jingles that you guys have sent me. If anybody wants to do one, feel free to send it to beatsforwax@gmail.com, beatsforwax@gmail.com. If you haven't listened to the original version of the podcast, you could hear it on episode 2 or 3, anywhere in the early. Maybe not. I don't think I did it on the first one, but anywhere in the early episodes of the podcast, you can listen to the first 30 seconds and hear what the jingle sounded like. It's basically the exact same melody as a commercial from the 1980s for the product Lite Brite, which probably most of you have no idea what that is because it's so fucking old. I do, though. Not only do I remember the commercial jingle, Lite Brite, turn on the magic of shining light, which obviously to anybody who knows, that is an exact ripoff. But when I made the first podcast jingle, I was actually shit-faced. I barely remember making it. And I just thought I was thinking about that Lite Brite jingle, and I was like, man, I just fucking blurted it out, and now that is my jingle. So come at me, Lite Brite. I don't know if you're owned by a bigger toy company. I don't know if Bradley or Mattel, Parker Brothers. I don't know if you're a subsidiary or if you're your own entrepreneurial company. But if you want to sue me, I'm ready. I got a fucking lawyer. I'm going to say that I invented that shit before. My podcast came out in the 70s, before Lite Brite came out. I was really early in the podcast game. So come on, let's do this. But yeah, a lot of you guys probably don't even know what Lite Brite is. I believe it was spelled Lite space Brite. So if you want to go check it out, I'm sure there's some kind of retro piece on that. But I remember when I was a little tiny kid, me and my brother and my sister did have one. I would recommend Lite Brite. I think that they should kind of revamp and remarket and try to come back out. I don't see why that toy couldn't be a good toy for any kid. I mean, maybe nowadays there's too many small pieces. The kids are going to swallow shit or, because everything now is so PC, Everything's so PC and safe. All the kids wear their bicycle helmets. All the playgrounds, I know this because of my brother's kids. I've taken them to many playgrounds. All the playgrounds are now made out of rubber and plastic. If not that, it's just sand, and everything is, you could still break your fucking neck on any of it. It's still monkey bars and slides that you could jump off of, but it's definitely nothing like it was when I was a young child. I remember the playground where I would frequent at my local park was made out of wood. So, if you stick your hand on there, you're probably going to get like 10 splinters in the first climb up the ladder to the slide. The slide made out of pure aluminum or steel or whatever kind of metal that shines in the sun, and when it gets really hot, not only does it burn your legs, but it makes it so the slide isn't very slippery. You just stick to it, and as you go down, you just burn and rip your fucking legs off because your legs stick there, and the little piece of them sticks to it, just like eggs or chicken to a pan that's not properly greased or not non-stick. So if you can picture a child's leg sticking to a hot aluminum piece of metal that's at a 45-degree angle, that's really, really hot, and the kid goes down, he tries to slide, but not only does he get burned, but his burnt flesh stays right there like it's on a fucking skillet. Of course, I'm over-exaggerating, but it is what it is. I'm here. Wax's Podcast, episode 72. 72, y'all. I know that I skipped last week, and I got to be honest with you. I don't really have an excuse. I always want to say that I have an excuse. I was working last week. I've been working on music, and of course, bullshitting a lot. I've been bullshitting a lot recently, man. I'm trying to get back on track as far as just living a productive life, living a life where I contribute to society, living a life where, I've lived this life in the past just through making music and making art, whether it be serious, depressing songs or whether it be comedy videos. Either way, you might get somebody that hits you up on email or whatever and says, hey, you know what, Wax? You made my day, or you made me smile, or I can relate to that, man. You got me through some tough times. Though that's, in my opinion, getting those kind of things is what makes me keep doing this, and it makes me feel like I'm a member of society that contributes and helps. But I only bring that up to say that recently I haven't done anything, even near contributional, contributory, contributed and whatever. I don't know. I've been doing everything in a self-serving way. You know, I've just been drinking, partying with my friends, spending a lot of time alone working on beats, not putting anything out, not completely really finishing anything that's going to be significant. Although I do have some great musical ideas, but I just feel like I haven't really been contributing. I'm trying to get back on track. And last week was no different, although I did do some things that will contribute to my future contribution. I'm going to move into a new studio spot. Me and my boy Davey are going to get, I'm trying to make myself more productive and trying to just really get rolling with the punches and become as much of a professional as I possibly can. So I'm actually going to be moving all my new studio equipment stuff into a separate location from my abode. And me and my boy are going to just start churning out tunes left and right, 24/7, night and day. Going to try to live a healthy lifestyle, which is hard to do when you're trying to be like a lab rat. You end up just eating pizza and sitting on a chair all day, usually drinking and smoking and all that shit. But I'm going to try to be different. I swear that I will be different. I mean, look. Whatever. I'm not going to do a mediocre Barack Obama impression right now. Did I have anything to actually talk about? You know what? Let's break this up a little bit. Me and my brother used to live together. I mean, we lived together a bunch of different places, including my parents' place when we were fucking children. But we were children, and I used fuck as an adjective, not as a verb. We're not having sex with children at my parents' house when we lived there. We were effing children, man. Like, if we're fucking people. Like, what? I don't need to explain this. But one time we lived together, and this was back in the days when Napster and it's past Napster. I think it was LimeWire. I don't know, one of those sharing sites. But my brother had a nice computer at the time. I mean, definitely nice for the time. Nice enough that like you could get on the fucking internet and connect to these sites and pretty much get whatever song you wanted. At that time, we were listening to a lot of rap music, as I have all my life. And one thing that I've always been a fan of is like rap freestyles. Like, on LimeWire, you can get all the Big L freestyles, all the Cannabis freestyles from when he was on whatever radio station. But they also had like these battles. And what would happen is, whether it was a battle or a freestyle, you might download something off LimeWire that says Jay-Z freestyle, but it's really some dude like me or somebody that put the name Jay-Z freestyle on there because he wanted people to download it. You know what I'm saying? It's trolling. If I put something up and I was like Lil Wayne freestyle, and people are like, oh snap, Lil Wayne freestyle, and then they download it, then it's actually Wax or whatever. And, usually, as the person who put it up there, you're thinking, well, I'll get more listeners that way. So there was a lot of times where you get people that put battles up like that. And this one thing that me and Chris, well, not me, but he found this one thing. It was Lil Bow Wow versus Lil Romeo is how the thing was, is how it was advertised. That was the name of the file when you searched for it on LimeWire. And, of course, it had been downloaded a lot of times, not only because people wanted to hear Lil Bow Wow versus Lil Romeo, but I think back in that day, there was a little bit of a viral kind of deal with this thing. I don't know if there was, to be honest with you. You couldn't really tell back then. But what I do know is that me and my brother had many nights where we would get high and laugh our asses off to this stupid Lil Bow Wow versus Lil Romeo thing, which is actually two other dudes. And today he fucking emailed it to me. He found it somewhere. It was like, yo, best battle of all time. So I'm going to play it right now.
All right, this is Cliff, and this is Matt. We gonna do a fight right now, right? So when you hear this boy, this is Limpy Kid, all right? So, all right, you get started, Matt. Fuck you, asshole. Find you dead in a hole. You punk bitch, fucking snitch with your dad's dick in your ass. Smoking weed, watching you bleed. I am talking to you the real. What up, cock blow? Your rap slow. I just pulled out your sister's pussy, nigga. What? I did that. Yeah, you did that. Y'all thinking you so fat. Turn that back around, stuff it into the ground. Smoke a pound of coke, I'll stuff it down your throat. Make you scream like a goat till you rock your stomach like a boat. Bitch, watch out before my top sprouts. You'll be in Burger King cleaning the tiles grouts until you turn into a homophile. Bitch, stop and trying to flow. If all you can do is screech like a hoe, mow your grass, stick your dick up another man's ass. Think fast, repeat now, bow down, Olympic Kid. Alright. Limpy Kid sucks cock, blowing everybody on his block. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your mom's at? At my house. She is getting gang bang come all over her face. Oh shit, this is weed laced with a crack. Giving your mom a smack. Never come back, I am the fucking Mac. Once you go black, you'll never go back. My mom can do what she wants, but if she is a 400-pound fat ass with herpes, she hangs out in groupies that like to trick God like Mac with a small butt crack, sticking a dick up yours like never before. You fell for the hole that was at your door. She was dragged so she could butt fuck you like a fag, smack your ass till you red and got blood all over your bed. I got speed because of this weed. Better retreat from this rapper because you just a cracker who doesn't even have a rapper. I keep flowing and breathing till the break of dawn. I'm just a calm. Be right back, fucking your mom in the pussy. Unlike what you did to my mom, you little wussy. You missed the spot because you were too high on pot. Sorry I had to drop these lyrics, but you just too lame. You don't know the rapping game. You should be ashamed for being blamed. Rap's biggest loser. Who doesn't know the difference between tits and clits? Oh hell yes, it's Limpy Kid. Bring it on.
Oh snap! Oh snap! Limpy Kid. There's so many funny things about that battle. You can go back and listen to it. I don't know. Sorry if it has offensive language in it. But it's fucking hilarious, man. You gonna be in Burger King cleaning the tiles grouts. And I like how like the one party's like, Limpy Kid sucks cock, blowing everybody on his block. Like he doesn't rhyme it. But anyway, we used to listen to that and laugh a lot. And when that was hot, the funny thing to think about now is that those children in that are probably adults. You know, I wonder if they still listen to that. I wonder if they have any idea that people are still out there listening to that. If you happen to know who these people are, contact them, y'all. It's probably some famous person, you know. It's probably a bunch of fucking famous people. Either that or they're dead. Moving right along. What do I have? I haven't now actually remember that I had written down a couple. Really? Written. I had written down a couple things. This is just a story I wanted to tell you guys. Yeah, I don't think haven't done a podcast since I heard this story. Anyway, I have a friend named Bailey. I've been friends with Bailey ever since I moved to Los Angeles. We met through music. We've done a lot of work together. He does mixing. He makes beats, stuff like that. You might even remember him from one of my songs. I actually gave him a shout out in my song Two Wheels when I was going to the studio. I said, give a dap to my homie Bailey on the way in. Well, about 3 or 4 years ago, Bailey got really into Kung Fu. He started he was trying to work out and trying to learn martial arts, and he found this Kung Fu studio, and he just got really into it, man. So much so to the point that right now that's his full-time job is teaching there. He went every single day, and he still goes every day, and he spends half the day teaching, and that's how he earns a living, and half the day training. He's about to start doing MMA fights. He's doing competitive fucking Kung Fu fighting and shit. It's crazy. He's all fucking ripped and fucking strong and just a fucking martial artist now. You know, when I first met him, he was more like a stoner musician guy. He still has that aspect of him. He still makes music. As a matter of fact, he's doing really well with the music on the side. I think he might be having some placements and whatnot. He's a really talented producer. Anyway, all that's besides the point. Just to give you some background information, I was kicking with him a week and a half ago. And he was kind of giving me updates about his life as far as this Kung Fu shit. And while he was explaining to me what they do, this is just interesting to me because it just kind of blew my mind because it's I didn't know that this was a thing. So part of the discipline is meditation and just learning about energy. You know, when you're fighting, when you're a martial artist, it's good to know if you've seen some old school shit, you should be able to like shut your eyes and still be able to fight somebody, or be able to feel know if somebody's coming up from behind or somebody's coming to you from the side. You can do, some kind of quick Bruce Lee leg sweep to a motherfucker that thinks he's creeping up on you. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to harness energy other than just stuff that you get from your normal senses: hearing, sight, smell, touch, and taste. You're not going to be able to taste somebody coming from behind you. You know what I mean? That had another meaning. God, I keep doing the gay double entendres today. I don't know. But, so anyway, he says that this is something that he knows how to do now. Let's say he's in a room and he's laying down on the ground blindfolded. 10 people or a group of people are outside the room, and they decide before they enter the room what part of his body that they're all going to stare at when they get in the room and surround him. So they get in the room, and they have agreed ahead of time the back of his left kneecap, his right foot. And when they get in there, they all start to stare at it. And the motherfucker can tell where they're staring at just by the energy and the feeling. Like he's totally not looking at him. His eyes are closed, blindfolded, whatever. And he can feel the energy of that. And to me, that's magic. And everybody else that I've talked to, mostly I've talked to it with my brother and my manager, Brian. They both don't, both of them and me included were kind of skeptical. Like, wait a second. You mean you can just do that? Like, you can learn how to do that? And Bailey says, yeah, it's just a thing. Like, for centuries and centuries, martial artists have known how to do this. And it just made me think, damn, man, if the rest of us don't even know that that's possible, shouldn't we all know that that's possible, to harness energy like that and be able to feel this other type of energy like that? Shouldn't we all know that that's even a possibility and not magic? I mean, if we can do that, think there's probably all kinds of other shit that we can do that we don't know about that probably some of these martial artists might have already figured out. Definitely some Zen Buddhist type of cats that spend their whole entire life meditating have definitely figured out some shit that we don't know about, if that kind of thing is possible. So I just wanted to say, hey, just wanted to let you know that it's possible, let you know that that's out there. Maybe some of you guys know about that already. Maybe some of you guys already practice that kind of shit. But me, I definitely don't know how to do that. Another thing that I wrote down here. Every once in a while, I'll write down a little thing for the podcast, but this just says stuck under bridge. I guess I just wrote this down because, living in Los Angeles, there's two things that happen. One, you're in a lot of traffic all the time. That is if you have a car and you're important and always got to go places, like me. Always traveling around the city. The other day I went from fucking Venice to Burbank to Van Nuys back to Hollywood, just traveling around all LA, all over LA. You know what I mean? And a lot of times when you're going on these fucking highways, freeways, whatever you want to call them, you'll be going really, really slow, stop and go, and then you'll stop right under an overpass or a bridge, and you'll remember that the other thing that happens in Los Angeles is earthquakes. And for some reason, every time I get stuck behind that thing, under an overpass or a bridge or whatever while I'm on the freeway, I just imagine the earthquake happening at that time, and the thing just falling right on top of me, and that's it. Either that's it, or that's almost it. You know what I mean? I just get really badly injured and I'm stuck in there, or I just immediately get crushed. So I don't know why I'm talking about that on the podcast, but I just wanted to let all the other guys know. Anybody else who lives in Los Angeles or anywhere that ever had an earthquake know that it's very likely that when you're under that bridge, it's going to collapse right on top of you. Because, of course, with your luck and mine, that's when the earthquake's going to happen. But it's weird. It's weird. Ever since I've lived here, I guess one time I felt that fear, and now every time I'm stuck under one of those things, I get antsy, and I just can't wait to move forward. So I can just feel I start thinking can I get over and get out of this fucking thing? Can I get under this? And then when I finally do get under, I'm looking above me to make sure that the coast is clear, and I get this weird sense of relief. So that's the other thing I wrote down to tell you guys. I'm talking about Kung Fu energy, and I'm talking about the fear of earthquakes while you're in traffic. Maybe another thing I should talk about is just I'd like to say thank you. I'd just like to give a quick thank you to anybody out there. Any of you who are in the very, very, very small minority of people who, I guess, pay for porn on the internet. Because I don't understand. I don't talk to people who do unless they're lying. I don't understand who does. You have, like, unlimited access, essentially, to any pornographic video ever made of all time on the internet for free. And I always wonder, like, what's the business model? And everybody says advertising. But it's like, yeah, but nobody clicks on the ads. Nobody ultimately gets out their fucking checkbook or credit card or cash or whatever for this shit. But it's been going strong for years and years and years. So the only way I can describe it, the only way I can explain it, rather, is that there's this small minority of dudes that, like, their thing is porn. Like my thing is music. Your thing is painting, all of you who are listening. But you have a thing. But then some people are really, really, really into porn, really, really, really into jerking off. They're the people who, I guess, get the private camera show girls, probably spend $1,000 a month or more just on pornography. And I'd like to thank all those people because they're the reason that the rest of us can masturbate for free. So thank you very much, guys. And let me get to some questions and shout-outs. All right, man. Having a little technical difficulties. I think I did find the email with the emails. Not too many shout-outs this week. I do have some questions, but I will try to catch up with all the other ones as soon as I can. As I always say, beatsforwax@gmail.com. As I rarely say, but I will say now, if you want to buy something on Amazon.com, go to my website first, wax.com.com, click on podcasts, and there's a banner where you can click on and go to Amazon. And if you go to Amazon that way rather than just the regular way, some small percentage of what you buy that you were going to buy anyway will actually go to Herbal. It actually goes to my brother. It's the Herbal Tea Diaper Fund. But I think I get fucking some really small amount. It doesn't cost you anything additional. But I'm supposed to be saying that because I'm trying to, I guess, somehow make money off this podcast. I don't know. I don't plan on making anything. I will say that it does take time. It actually does take money to use my podcast service. It has a monthly fee. So anybody who gets mad about me not doing the podcast, eat a dick, And I don't mean eat a dick in the expression way. I mean actually go to a restaurant that serves dicks, order one, and with silverware, eat a dick. All right, shout-outs. Matt P. in Canada. Pedro X and Allie from Sun Valley. Frank. Monster Film. Canada. Joanna from Dublin. What's up, girl? Ben K. What the fuck was that? Ben K, who just turned 21 years old. Happy birthday, Ben K. Joey W. in Alabama. TJL. Adrian T. And Sebastian from Australia. I recommend Lano. That's Lyno. He's a producer. He sent me his EP, Mind Body Loops. And it didn't hurt that he was fucking 17 years old, has tight-ass beats, and I once gave him a shout-out in the shout-out section of the podcast, and now he uses that for his tag at the beginning of his beats. Lano! So that's cool that my voice is his tag, especially because his beats are fucking sick. So, damn. I guess hold on, let me see if I can find it's lanoprod.bandcamp.com. LAYNOPROD.bandcamp.com. And he's got his 6-song EP there, and he's got some tight-ass rap beats. Good freestyle shit. Just good for your dinner party. Good music for your dinner party, for your guests to listen to. Anyway, this is, let's get to some questions. I think this one actually is more like a recommendation. This is from David M. from Toronto. A Wax. I have some podcast recommendations for you and the listeners. You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes and the Joe Rogan Experience. I know you've mentioned Joe Rogan before, and I was wondering if you listened to his podcast and your thoughts on him in general. Also, a shout-out would be nice. Well, shout-out to you, David M. from Toronto. We all appreciate why can't I fucking talk today? think sometimes I get inside my head when I'm doing a podcast. Like I think that I got to say things so clearly and like use good vocabulary or say something humorous that I don't remember how to actually just talk like a regular human. Because I don't talk like this in day to day. People made fun of me for that. Like I put on a radio voice when I do my podcast, but I guess that's kind of what you got to do. It's called entertainment, not schmenterschmainment. Anyway, Joe Rogan, yes, I have listened to his podcast a couple times, not a lot, because his podcasts are really, really, really long. And in my opinion, it's just too much for me to listen to. Because for me, if I'm listening to something intently, whether it be music or a podcast, especially things with words where you have to listen to the words and actually be involved in what the person's saying. I'm not a woman. I can't multitask like that. I can't listen to what Joe Rogan is saying for 3 hours, plus pay my bills, plus write songs, plus blah, blah, blah. So I don't really have time to listen to that one. It's like they do 3 hour long podcasts every day, or I think they do it every day. But I have listened to a few before, and I think that my take on Joe Rogan is my favorite thing about him is his openness about drugs and how the way he refers to. He talks about psychedelic drugs and shit like that. I think that's cool that he's really open about it, and I agree with a lot of his points on it. So yeah, that's what I think about that. And the other podcast you mentioned, You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. Pete Holmes sounds like familiar. That could either be a wrestler, a professional baseball player, an axe murderer, a stand-up comedian, the dude who got his dick chopped off by Lorena Bobbitt. He could be a porn star. He could be a porn star or the dude who got his dick chopped off by Lorena Bobbitt, because I think both of them actually became porn stars. But no, I don't know what that is, so sorry, David M. I can't back that one, but I will say, hey, listeners, David M. from Toronto is not going to fucking tell you the wrong thing. I mean, he's David M. He's from Toronto. I mean, he accept his recommendations and accept them as being good. So go check those out. This next one, Hey Wax. I don't know if he says his name. Fuck. Oh, Lane R., a Scottish immigrant that lives in Australia who's 16. All right. Hey, Wax, I've been listening to the podcast from the beginning, and I've been listening to your music since the Choose Your Own Adventure cipher. Damn, you've been listening to me since you were a little kid if you're only 16 now. I was just wondering if you, and I appreciate that, I was just wondering if you had an opinion on Scottish independence. If you didn't know, Scotland will be holding a vote on the 18th of September. As you can see, I'm right up to date with the emails. To see whether or not we want to become an independent country from Britain. I think it's a great idea, but I was just wondering if you might have an opinion since you've toured in Glasgow. That does not make me make my opinion mean shit. Anyway, love your music, and if you can't answer, then you can just give me a shout out. My name is Lane R. I'm a Scottish immigrant that lives in Australia, and I'm 16 years old. P.S. I've got a recommendation for you and your listeners. Watch the TV show Peaky Blinders. It's fucking awesome and better than Breaking Bad. Well, I don't know anything about Breaking Bad, and I've never heard of that show. Maybe that's an Australian show or a Scottish show. It sounds like a non-American yet English-speaking country show. Peaky Blinders. That sounds like something that fucking Austin Powers would watch. Joseph, a.k.a. King Barbecue, shout out to him. He actually emailed me about this exact same topic, the topic of the Scottish independence. And he said it was very divisive and could possibly trigger some violence there. And as many of you know, first of all, the 18th of September has passed, and that was when the vote was. And it turns out that a majority of people in Scotland decided they wanted to stay with the UK and not be an independent country. Keep in mind, if I say anything wrong, it's because I'm completely ignorant about all of it. I have been to Glasgow. I loved playing. I played a couple places in Scotland. What was the joint? The northern joint started with the A. See, I don't even know. And the reason I even wanted to read this is just to explain something to you guys, explain something to the non-Americans there, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about American ignorance and why that happens to happen. You have to understand people in Europe that get mad at people in Europe that are mad at Americans because we don't know about your affairs. You have to understand that geographically, Europe is very small and America is very big, or they're at least about the same size. Like our country is the same size as all of your countries, and it's very, very far away. And Scottish independence, quite frankly, has really nothing. It really has zero effect on me. You know what I mean? I challenge many of you to know all the states in the union, know all the capitals of the states. Like that's like us knowing about states is like you knowing about other countries in Europe. Because geographically, if you're in fucking France and you drive for a little bit, you end up hitting Spain. You know, watch that fucking. Now those countries touch each other. I was gonna say I probably end up saying some countries that don't even touch each other. And I have been over there a few times. I've actually been over there a few times, and it was very eye opening, and I learned a lot of shit. I'm just trying to say in defense of Americans. You guys take a little drive and you cross borders and languages change and shit is close by, you know, like we do the same thing. We drive just as far and like instead of being in California, we're in Nevada and then Colorado and whatever, and people still speak the same language, and there are drastic differences, but not as drastic. And we're insulated, you know? We're very insulated with what's going on. Most Americans will never even go to Europe. And the policies that are in effect over there, the geographic location of things over there, it's not something, you know, it's like the things that stick in your mind are the things that are useful to you. You know, like I don't remember how to do calculus, just like I don't remember a lot about European geography. And I really wouldn't know anything about European politics or geography if I didn't have to go there every once in a while to do music. But like I said, just because I went to Glasgow, yeah, Glasgow was awesome. I fucking partied with some really cool people and saw some beautiful buildings. I bought a nice jacket. That's where I bought my nice jacket. The most expensive piece of clothing I ever bought was my jacket that I bought in Glasgow. Glasgow? See, I don't even know how to pronounce it properly. But I'm just trying to say that knowing about European politics, remembering the geography over there, is really no different than remembering how to do calculus. Like it has absolutely no practical use for us here because it doesn't affect us at all. Whereas because America, the United States of America is so large and such a fucking, you know, honestly, sometimes such a big bully in the world, some of our policies might have a little bit more effect on certain people over there. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we're fucking totally stupid, even though we are kind of for the most part. But our ignorance is not based on stupidity. Our ignorance is based on, like, it's not useful at all for us to know about that shit. So it's just like the only time you can ever really get anything out of it is if you actually go over to Europe, which nobody really does, or if you're on Jeopardy. In a trivia environment, it's useful. And just take that into consideration, you know? And ask yourself, what do you know about, like, you know, if you're mad that I don't know how to pronounce Glasgow, you tell me what the capital of the state of Minnesota is. You know, it's the same fucking shit. It has the same use to you that it does to us. So I just wanted to explain that. I don't even know if I did explain it well. I probably didn't. But let's go. Let's move on to the next one. All right. This is from Dan. This is from Dan from Baltimore. Dan from Baltimore, if you remember, he had the friend Chandler who passed away, and we were doing Sober September in his honor, and I fucked up and didn't complete the task. So this is what he had to say in response to my apology. Don't sweat it, homie. I made it 11 days, and I decided I needed a damn beer. The fact that people on the exact opposite side of the nation even attempted the challenge in Chandler's honor is amazing. Fuck. It meant a lot that you even took the time to mention him. On a lighter note, and coincidentally, your very next topic on the podcast I'm listening to now, the reason I failed the challenge was because of the iPhone 6. I work for AT&T in the shitstorm of people that mobbed our store to demand access to pre-order Apple's digital crack. Apple's digital crack drove me to the point that I decided I needed to sit at a quiet bar and drink a beer. Well, several, to be honest, while reflecting on the lyrics of your song Need. Long ass email, so I'm going to wrap it up. You did my boy a huge honor. I've played the last few podcasts for friends and family, and it brings a tear to the eye of anyone who knew Chan. Thanks, Mike. I'll join you in the next challenge when you decide to do it again. Well, I appreciate your honesty, Dan. Even 11 days was pretty good, man. I'm sure that was an eye-opening experience for you as well. And speaking of eye-opening, somebody's getting their iPhone 6 right now. Whatever. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I did talk about that. Is it the next one? I did talk a lot about. I was talking a lot of shit about Apple on that podcast, and then I got this fucking email from Trevor in Sacramento, who pointed something out to me, and something I rarely do. I went back and listened to part of my podcast because of what he said, and it did actually sound funny. This is from Trevor in Sacramento. Love the podcast. Looking forward to some new stuff. Insert further dick sucking here. Get to making some music, you slacker. I found it amazingly ironic that you correctly assessed the cult-like following that Apple has, called people sheep, all about 10 minutes after saying that you got a Mac Pro, which costs between $3,000 and $4,000. I understand that there's a lot of music production-related software that you're used to on Macs, but shit, fuck Apple. You should have at least gotten an iMac for like half the price. It's not like you're animating the life of Pi. Trevor in Sacramento. Well, listen, Trevor. After you said that, I went back and listened, and I got to talk to you guys. I think that was I don't know if that was episode 70 or episode 71. I think it was 70. When I was talking all the shit about how people, would buy anything that Apple has, and I didn't really realize while I was talking about it. But 10 minutes before that, I had just talked about how I walked into the Apple store and bought the most expensive thing they have in the store. And when I went back and listened to it, I definitely did sound like an idiot, which is nothing new. To anybody that listens to this podcast or anybody that knows me personally, hearing me sound like an idiot is really par for the course. So you were right, Trevor. I say that, but he did the last person, Dan, made a reference to my song "Need," and to give myself some, just to back myself up here. I do call myself out on it in that song. I call out my own hypocrisy. I have like almost every product that was ever invented. I've spent so much money. Dude, it's actually unbelievable. It's funny that you said I should have just gotten an iMac. The iMac was the computer. I was replacing my iMac with this new computer that I got that was ridiculously expensive. And it's not perfect. It already has problems here and there. I think I might have some kind of little virus and shit on it already. But if I really think about how much money I've spent on Apple stuff, it's insane. I've bought, dude, I've had this. I got this new computer. I have my old studio computer. I've had 2 different laptops from them. I had the iPhone 6, 5, and iPhone 4. I had an iPod. I guess that's it. But I mean, Jesus, how many devices is that? That's a crazy amount of devices. I never had an iPad, but I did have an iPod. I've had probably 3 different iPhones, and then I've had like 4 computers. So for me to even talk about that and call people out is absolutely ridiculous, because just because I buy my products with a little less glee than others doesn't mean that I'm not the same Steve Jobs worshiping hack. So, Trevor in Sacramento, thank you for pointing out my hypocrisy. And anybody out there who wants to point out anything else stupid I say, I welcome it. Anything hypocritical, anything factually incorrect, I will accept it. beastforwax@gmail.com. Go ahead and send me your email. I got one more. I mean, how much time has gone by in this fucking thing? Damn, hold up. I got this thing set up. Damn, I'm at 40 minutes. I got one email left. I might have to try to do some additional talking. I'm sure the way that I'm discussing how I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes of this podcast, I'm sure the lack of confidence in the way I'm speaking about it right now is really making you excited to hear the rest of it. I will say that I have another email, and this one's from Ed from Chicago. Wax, You are the illest motherfucker. Thanks, man. I appreciate the praise. Podcast 70 was great. Thanks again for the shout out. Don't worry about fucking up sober September. I once had 20 years sober. Yep, 20 years. I have never been happier than I am now drinking and smoking with an exclamation point. Question. When you finish a song like Heroes, Rosanna, Dreamin', Solidify, Two Wheels, etc., do you ever think, quote, this is the one that will put me on the charts and mainstream, unquote? Those songs and many others you do are so much better than the shit that is out there. I just don't get it. What is the matter with people today? You should be filling stadiums, my friend. Thanks. Ed from Chicago. Damn, Ed, 20 years sober. That's crazy, man. I know that you were an older gentleman. You came to several of the Warped Tour shows, and you hooked me up many different times, man. You're a cool-ass dude, so I appreciate that. Thank you to you for coming out, and thank you for sending me this email, especially because some of you are probably thinking out there that it was very, very filled with praise. And, I think when I first started doing the podcast, I would read a lot more self-praise, and I try to stay away from it now. But what I wanted to talk about was your question of, do you ever think to yourself, basically, that this will be the one? And I just want to talk about that because I'm sure there are other musicians out there, other artists out there, other entrepreneurs out there, whatever you do. And there was songs that you mentioned. There was, like, you said Heroes, Rosanna, Dreamin', Solidify, Two Wheels. I mean, as far as did I ever think that one thing would be the thing that blew up and made me go big or mainstream or be able to quit my job or anything? There's been so fucking many that it's unbelievable. Like, there's been so many things that I've done. I mean, before people even knew of me, back when I was in a band, before I was in a band, the first music video thing that me and my brother ever did, there's been so many, an unbelievable amount of things that I've did, especially on YouTube. Like, almost every video I ever made, I thought was going to be the one, you know? But it never is, man, you know? And I think that the reason I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of people out there, they don't give it enough, they don't give things enough chances, you know? And I've come to realize that you have to fail an awful lot of times before you really succeed. Maybe some people are lucky, you know? Some people are either just lucky enough to just always do awesome shit, or just talented enough that everything that they do is great and blows up or whatever. But I think for most of us, and that goes for anybody from Kanye West on down, you know, you've had a lot of times in your life where you've been told no, or you've had the sheet pulled out from under you, so to speak, or whatever. And you just got to keep going, man. You got to at least somewhat believe in yourself and think that something else is going to be all right. Because, I mean, you know, there's different levels of success. And sometimes all the stuff that just was pretty good and pretty good and pretty good and pretty good, and a lot of people liked, but never really got that, like, holy shit. I've only really had that holy shit one time with my song Rosanna. But just getting that was worth it. And then you also look back on all the stuff you've done, and you might not have just blown up, but people started to like you, and people eventually get to quit your job. Eventually you might have some success, be able to tour, and then be able to sit in your house and have this podcast, you know? So it's not like you know, Two Wheels I definitely thought would be a mainstream thing. Rosanna I thought would be a mainstream thing. Before that, I had other joints that I thought could maybe be more of a mainstream thing, or at least a viral thing, but a lot of it just doesn't work out. You know, when I did that Tiger Woods thing, looking back at it now, it's funny that I thought this, but when I did my little Tiger Woods parody, I thought that would be like something that got 1 million views right away on YouTube, but alas, it didn't, and neither did most of the other things that I thought were going to be like that. But you just got to keep going, and the most important thing is you got to enjoy it, you know? If you're going to do what you love, you're supposed to love it, right? It's easy to fall out of love with something when it becomes work. You know, whether that's a relationship or whether that's your art. When it becomes part of a to-do list, like I've talked about in some of my songs, it actually makes it more difficult to do. But all you got to do is start. You know, once you just, if you have a to-do list and one of them is like finish this song or write a song or just write, work on something, it's always hard to start, because you'd rather just sit there and watch a movie, or you'd rather fucking just surf YouTube for cat videos or whatever you do. But once you do start, that's why, many of you guys have been following me for a long time. You might know that I always have stuff on my wall, like in front of my computer. I always put signs on my wall, and the most common one I have is writing music makes you happy, because it's easy to forget that, and you just think it's work, and then like every single time once you start to do it, you're like, oh, that's why I do this, because it makes me feel good inside. It makes me feel warm and tingly. I have that, and sometimes I get lazy, and it starts to make me depressed. And I have signs sometimes that says getting things accomplished feels good, and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything from putting out an album to washing your car. Just getting up and going and doing something feels great. And it's easy to get stuck in the cycle of just being depressed and laying in your bed or whatever, especially when you don't have to have a regular job. And I call it a cycle, because being depressed and not wanting to get out of bed makes you even more depressed, because getting up out of bed is exactly what's going to make you, and doing something exactly what's going to get you out of it. So it just kind of feeds itself. But yeah, I put shit on my walls. The one I have right now is a big ass. I'm looking at it right now. I have a dry erase board, and I have a few things on there. I have without your health, you have nothing. That's been up there for a while. When I started trying to work out and shit, that's what my mom always says. Without your health, you have nothing, and it's true. You can't, if you break your leg, changes everything. If you get cancer, changes everything. So trying to be healthy. You know what I mean? I got you make music. No, I got you make money so you can make music, not vice versa. That kind of goes along with what I was saying. A lot of times I start to stress about my money situation and think, God damn, I got to get another song that I can make some money off of. And then it'll never work like that, because you're just supposed to make the shit how you want to make it. And if it makes money, it makes money. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And if you just keep working and having fun and loving it, somebody else will be out there and like it too. And I got some other shit up there that's a little too weird. But yeah, let me fucking, goddamn, I don't know why I got so mad about that. The cord to my headphone was tangled on the chair. See if I got anything else. It's kind of a short podcast if I end it right now, because I can't think of anything else I had to talk about. Anything else I got coming up? Just working on music. Gonna move into my new studio with my boy Davey soon. Stay tuned for EOM's album. EOM's album is actually going to be his best album yet. It's going to be sick as shit. You know what, man? Fuck it. I'm not going to extend this shit. I'm just going to shut it down. You know what I mean? Why make something extended? It's like if you had just time to kill, like if you were giving a speech and you got there late, and the guy introducing you just had to be like, oh, well, here's Mr. He's not here. Hey, how about those Braves? How about those Nats? Whatever team that you fucking like. All right, man, fuck you. Be safe out there.